mic on?
My mic is on.
Good evening and welcome to our Kingsburg City Council regular meeting. The council chamber is open to the public at 100% capacity. Tonight is Wednesday, September 21st, 2022. Our invocation tonight will be given by Deacon Steve Wright of the Holy Family Church, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand with me.
Madam Mayor, members of council, thank you for this invitation. Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we come before you tonight with humility and thanksgiving. We thank you for all those who are gathered here tonight and for your many blessings. Thank you for life, health, for freedom, and for friendship. Thank you for the ability to be involved in the useful work of the betterment of our great community. It is the responsibility of us all to obey the governing authorities you have established to promote peace, order, and justice. So we pray for our mayor, city manager, leaders of public safety, for the various levels of city officials, and in particular for this assembled council. Heavenly Father, please grant them wisdom to govern through the conflicting interests and issues of today, concern for the welfare and true needs of our people, a thirst for justice and rightness, confidence in doing what is good instead of what is easy, the ability to work together in harmony, peace in their lives and joy in their tasks. I pray for the agenda set before them tonight. May the decisions made tonight follow your holy will and what would benefit those who live and work and in and around our great city of Kingsburg. In Jesus' holy name we pray. Amen. Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to call this meeting to order. Madam Clerk, can you please do roll call?
Here.
Here.
Here. Here. Thank you. Item 2 is to approve our agenda.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 3, we have 2 presentations tonight. Our first presentation is a Department of Defense Office Employer Support of the Guard and Reserve presentation given by Major Marco Aceveda and Chief Warrant Officer Patrick Earl. If you would like to come up to the podium.
Good evening, Madam Mayor,
Castaneda.
members of council. Sorry, my name was not on there, but I'm going to be making the description speech on behalf of them. Okay, so here I go. The United States Department of Defense Office of Employers in Support of Guard and Reserve Soldiers was established in 1972 to promote cooperation and understanding between reserve component service members and their civilian employers. The ESGR has served our country for more than 50 years, recognizing employers and fostering a culture in which employers support and value the employment of military service members of the National Guard, Reserve, and veterans. These citizen warriors could not defend and protect our home and abroad without the continued promise of meaningful civilian employment for themselves and their families. The Department of Defense Office of ESGRS Patriot Award recognizes individual supervisors and bosses nominated by a guardsman or reservist employee for support provided directly to the nominator and his family while engaging in military obligations. This award is the highest recognition given by the U.S. government to individual supervisors and bosses for their understanding and support of employees serving the Guard and Reserve. From the Office of the Assistant Secretary of Defense and Office of the Employer Support of Guard and Reserve, I would like to present City Manager Alex J. Henderson with the ESGR Patriot Award. The Patriot Award reflects the efforts made to support citizen warriors through a wide range of measures, including flexible schedules, time off prior to and from deployments, and especially caring for family members. Supportive employers are critical to maintaining the strength and readiness of the Guard and Reserve units. The Patriot Award recognizes deserving employers who support and are good will to important maintaining highly skilled and qualified members of the Guard and Reserve. And so with that, we'd like to present a certificate and an award to my boss. Thank you, sir.
Minus the surprise.
Oh, sorry, I'm in the way.
First of all, on behalf of 1106,000G, thank you so much. We appreciate it. Our soldiers are called bonfire fires, search and rescues, riots, a lot of different conflicting requirements, especially with having a full-time job. So thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Appreciate that. Adam's one of my soldiers in my section, so he's impressed me from the time I graded him from the training part to actually becoming a part of the unit. So he's been a great help to us, and I'm sure he'll thrive and grow as a great leader in the military as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's not very often you get surprised at these meetings.
It's really nice.
Thank you. And we will move on to our second presentation, which I believe is also a surprise. We would like to have the California State Senate Resolution recognition of retired Assistant Superintendent Melanie Sabrinsky. The sponsor is Senator Ana Caballero, and tonight we have her representative, Luis Martinez.
Good evening. Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you, Council Member, for having us here today. I want to thank Alexander, and congratulations. He helped us just put this together, and it's an honor to be here on behalf of Senator Caballero to present a resolution for the lifetime achievements of Ms. Sabrinsky. I'm just going to read a little bit of the resolution, and we're going to start with by the Honorable Ana M. Caballero, 12th Senatorial District, and the Honorable Joaquin Arambula, 31st Assembly District, relative to commending Melanie Sabrinsky. Whereas Melanie has announced that her retirement as Assistant Superintendent of Kingsburg Elementary Charter School District, and is appropriate at this time to highlight many of her achievements. Whereas a graduate of Selma High, Melanie attended Reedy College for 2 years before transferring to California State University, Fresno, where she earned her bachelor's degrees in health sciences. Whereas over the course of her 35 education career, Melanie created science, technology, engineering, art, and mechanics, a STEM camp, as well as the Kingsburg Reads Book Program and the Badge Project. Whereas principal of Roosevelt Elementary High during the 2006 school year, Melanie led the efforts for all those involved in earning the California Distinguished School Award for the school and recognized the teachers. And an inspirational leader and dedicated educator, Melanie has helped direct the path of KECSD towards its current level of distinction among other school districts throughout California. Now, therefore, be it resolved by Senator M. Caballero and Assembly Member Joaquin Arambula that they take great pleasure in commending Melanie Sabrinsky for her visionary role in guiding the development of Kingsburg Elementary Charter School District to its current preeminence, and extend to her sincere best wishes for all the riches and rewards of an active, productive retirement. So, congratulations.
We can have you come up.
It is my honor to present this on behalf of Senator Caballero. Congratulations. Thank you. Thank you. Can I?
Did you want to come up here to council also?
Or say anything?
You guys look great. Can you send me that? Yeah, I think I texted you a picture before. Do you have my number? I probably do. If not, I'll get it from Laura. So we're good.
Congratulations.
Item number 4 is public comment. This is the time for any citizen to come forward and address the City Council on any issue within its jurisdiction that is not listed on the agenda. A maximum of 5 minutes is allowed for each speaker, and just as a reminder, we won't be able to reply back to you. Do we have anyone here tonight that would like to speak for public comment? No? Okay, then hearing none, we will close public comment. Item number 5 is consent calendar. These are items that are considered routine in nature and are to be placed on consent calendar. They will be considered as one item and voted upon in one vote unless individual consideration is requested. Each vote in favor of the consent calendar is considered and recorded as a separate affirmative vote in favor of each action listed. Approval of the consent calendar items include recitals, reading ordinances by titles only, and adoption of recommended actions contained in staff reports. Tonight, we have item 5.1, approval of city minutes, 5.2, check register, 5.3, approval of the amendment number 1 to the Golden State Corridor Cooperative Agreement, 5.4, reimbursement agreement for tract 6122 park improvements. 5.5, do I need to read all of these? Okay. Adopt resolutions. 5.6, closure of Draper Street. 5.7, closure of Church Street. 5.8, approval of closure of Draper Street. 5.9, adopt resolution 22-063. 5.10, approval of the proposed salary schedule chart, and that is it. Are there any items that anyone from staff or council would like to have pulled?
I have a question about 5.8.
Okay, so we'll pull 5.8. Are there any items that any public would like to have pulled? No? Okay, so 5.8 is pulled. Do I have a motion for the others?
Make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. 5.8.
I just had a question since they're closing down Draper Street and they're doing the street eats for bringing in businesses that are going to be restaurants that are going to be in front of other restaurants and such. Do they have to get permission from the other restaurants also for that? Since just like any other street closure for other businesses, do they have to get permission from the other restaurants and stuff to get the street closure? Does the chamber have to get permission from?
No, so it's a chamber-sponsored event. It's not one of those that's contracted with the city. It's a one that they are proposing for moving from Memorial Park down to Draper Street between Smith and Marion. Because they are a nonprofit, they are allowed within certain guidelines to be able to close Draper Street with council approval. But no, one of their contingencies is not going door to door, making sure that it's okay with those businesses to close.
So they can have other food trucks in front of restaurants that we currently have that are brick and mortar here in town, but they can have street eats downtown.
Yes.
I know they've had it at Memorial Park, but now they're trying to bring it downtown in front of our brick and mortar. That's what that was.
Yeah, so the chamber's goal in essentially moving it was because they wanted to draw more attention to downtown rather than just having people congregate at the park. They wanted more exposure downtown. They've talked to several restaurants when they did do the event at Memorial Park, and it was a lot of foot traffic down Draper Street, and they just kind of want to, I guess, assume that if there is a potential move opportunity for them to do it on Draper Street, that it might just promote more business. Historically, the chamber has tried not to put like businesses in front of brick and mortars for Swedish Festival. If it's a retail that sells, women's clothing, they try not to put someone, with similar, in that general area. But it is one block, and so you do have restaurants that will have essential exposure.
Since District 4 is my district downtown, I've had, just so council realizes, I've had some other businesses have contacted me, restaurants included, just concerned by this coming now to Draper Street. We're fine being out there at Memorial Park, but now that it's coming down to Draper Street, they have some concerns with that, saying that, we're brick and mortar, we pay taxes, we're here, we've invested in Kingsburg, and now they're going to be coming down on Draper Street. They do have concerns by that, so I just want to express concern for that on behalf of my district. So
I'd like to just speak to that real quick, because this has come up at the last 2 to 3 chamber meetings, that specific concern. And one of the things that the chamber talked about was, and there are people that are restaurant owners that are there, and with it being at Memorial Park, they were not getting foot traffic downtown that they were hoping. And the last one was less successful than they anticipated, and part of it was because it was hot, but there was bugs in the park. It was just kind of bad timing. So I think that this is their attempt to see if it's going to work downtown. I think this is the last street eats that they have for the year also. So I think that the restaurants were actually hoping it could, some of them anyway, were actually hoping that it could come down here because they may grab drinks somewhere else or something like that. That was one of the big concerns with it being a Memorial Park, is they were not getting the foot traffic to the retail stores. And I know that the chamber was working to reach out to downtown businesses to tell them, hey, on this day, stay open a little later too. So that has come up. They did look at that. I don't know about all the restaurants or if they went door to door, but I know that was the intention, is to try to bring people from out of town to Kingsburg so that they can come downtown and see the downtown, and hopeful that they'll come back as kind of a tourist attraction. So it has come up at the chamber numerous times, for sure.
I hope they do their due diligence.
No,
In
I
other
agree.
words, to go down to our business, because we do have great restaurants downtown, and we want to support those downtown first and foremost before street eats. So hopefully that will, light a fire underneath the chamber to say that they have to do that. So that's why I pulled it. So, okay. Right. Thank you.
So we're talking like there's 4 restaurants downtown?
There's more. I mean, you also have the bakery
we're
and the
just
creamery too. So you have.
But if we're just talking about Draper Street, there's Los Pepes, the bakery, Sun Hong Kong.
99. You have Roadhouse.
But I'm just talking about that face Draper, because we're talking about just closing Draper and having them on Draper.
It's going to affect others.
So, but if we're talking about who's in front,
Soros.
and Casaros, Sun Hong Kong, so we're talking about 4. Is there a way that we could, Fugazis, so 5. Is there a way at least that the street eats can not park in front of those restaurants?
Well, I think this ultimately it's a chamber sponsored event, so I think it's kind of, it's not, if it's
I
not
won't
successful.
support this if they're going to park, if they're going to have these parked in front of our restaurants downtown. I won't,
I have no idea what the parking arrangement is.
because I think we have to support our brick and mortar,
I agree with them not being parked in front of the restaurants.
not parked in front of our brick and mortar restaurants.
Okay. So we could do it as a
As a
contingency to
stipulation?
approval.
Yeah, if that's a stipulation from the council, in order to close Draper Street, then that's what you'd say, and that's what we would relate to the.
Support our brick and mortars that have been here.
So we'll need a motion? Is that?
That would be my motion, is to close Draper Street, but not to have any of the street eats in front of our existing restaurants.
You're talking about like blocking entrance in front of, I mean,
Yes.
we have to be very specific if we're going to give regulations to this, as far as what that means, as far as in front of can be a loosely interpreted term.
The parking stalls in front of, is that what we're trying to? Because Casaros has at least 4 to 6 in front of them. Fugazi's has the 2, so it just depends on not blocking the door.
Parked in front. I think
So are
that
we
we need
saying-
to support our local brick and mortar.
But, so I guess my question is, are we saying that the parking stalls directly in front of these restaurants can't have a food truck? Is that?
Yes.
It should be, I'm assuming they're gonna be right down the middle of Draper Street, not in the parking stalls itself. It'll be in the middle, so.
Just for clarity, so if they propose to put something in the intersection of Smith and Draper, just in the middle of the intersection, that's okay? That's what I mean, that's what's.
That's not blocking the
Or what's in
entrance.
front of us. I just want to make sure that we communicate that correctly to the chamber.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea. I mean, the chamber's got the right idea because potentially a lot of those people could just buy something quick and then go into a restaurant. You know? I think the main idea is to bring people downtown, and
At these meetings,
I think it could help our restaurants, actually. They might have a big night that night, even though you have some street eats.
you know, the people who are running Casaros and Roadhouse are both there on chamber supporting this. So it's not, granted, Los Pepes isn't there on the chamber
Probably thinking
supporting
the
it,
same
but
thing, that there's
on the
potential
chamber
that-
board, those two people
The two
are
are
there,
presenting.
and they're big proponents of bringing it downtown. So I just think if we're going to make some stipulations, it has to be super specific, because we don't want it to have gaps.
I'm okay with the street eats. I want to make it clear. I'm okay with them bringing street eats here. I just don't want it to be right in front of a restaurant, that's all. 'Cause we want to support them as much as possible. So that would be my motion, is just to,
Say that they could not be parked next to the curb in front of the restaurants.
I don't know if they'll be, I think they're going to be right in the middle, aren't they?
I think the
In the
middle would be fine.
Middle of,
I guess the issue was, what are you attempting to prohibit?
Is there a map?
Blocking the
And
view
all
of the
of the
front of the
application.
restaurant to make
There is-
people,
there is.
like,
There is
see
a
that
map?
there's an existing restaurant
say.
there.
Oh, it just shows.
It doesn't show that, you know, the
Yeah, see,
quesadilla
that's what I was
gorilla
thinking. It was
is
probably
gonna
gonna be
parked
down the
in front of Casaros. It doesn't get that specific.
By having vendors in the intersection is still considered in front of? You would say is in front of, or are we just talking the space
The
in front
space,
of those businesses?
I'm
I
just
would
thinking-
say the space is right in front,
Yeah.
like the parking stalls, because you want to still see that there's an existing restaurant there and see their signage and be able to know if you're from out of town.
yeah, if there's a line going, all the way around in front of Casaros, I want people to go into Casaros and eat first.
Well, and I think that I don't know how much of an impact that's really going to have on Casaros and these other places for that short window. And had I not heard Casaros and Roadhouse supportive of it, I think I would agree with what you're saying. But I think what they're really wanting is they're just wanting the most amount of people they can to come downtown. Casaros is going to be fine that day. They're going to sell pizza. And I think Roadhouse is going to sell old fashions. They're going to be all right. If we're going to prohibit it in any way, I just think we have to be super specific to it as far as what we're saying that they have to do. And I don't think they should block an entrance. I don't think that they should, but if you're coming downtown, I don't think that if the quesadilla place is in front of Casaros that you're going to go to one or the other. I don't know that it's going to hurt our local businesses. If this was an ongoing thing every week, 100%. We'd have to have that conversation. But I think it's on the chamber to have done their due diligence, or they can kind of suffer the repercussions from the people that pay them.
I agree. I mean, I want to make it very clear, I'm not against this at all. I just have heard from other restaurants in town who have contacted me that are very concerned by this being downtown, saying, listen, I paid to be downtown, I pay my rent downtown, and then this is coming, and I'm very concerned by this. So I am just expressing from my constituents who is the downtown, I am being vocal for them, and that's what I'm speaking up for, and I will do that. So that's where my concern comes in, because I've been contacted by a few.
So what do we want to say? Not block up against the curb in front of an existing restaurant?
That's all. Like I said, I want to make it clear, I'm not against this at all. I think it's great. It brings people to the downtown area, and I want to support, I think the street eats, because it does bring people to downtown, and I want to support our restaurants and our businesses that are, hopefully will be open too. Our regular businesses that are open, so our retail. So I hope that helps as well. So I think the chamber has a good idea. I just want to make sure we're supporting them as well.
Our restaurants downtown are already packed on Friday nights, so hopefully it gives more options and brings to the retail. Okay, so do you want to make that motion?
That would be my motion, is to make sure we're just not blocking an entrance to our existing restaurants on Draper.
I'll second it.
Okay.
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Adam. On to regular calendar, 6.1, downtown mural program request for proposals, staff report and presentation by City Manager Alexander Henderson.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of council. Over the last several months, Councilmember Roman has been coordinating efforts with downtown business and property owners in an effort to launch a downtown mural program. The purpose of the program is to continue to amplify downtown, promote the arts, and provide a visible attractant while walking and driving in downtown Kingsburg. During their May 23rd, 2022 regular meeting, the Economic Development Committee recommended bringing the item to council at a future meeting for consideration of funding and a discussion of the program guidelines. Since then, Councilmember Roman has been working with business owners to develop a list of locations for consideration. She also provided staff with examples of similar programs in other jurisdictions, and staff has modeled the proposed program before you this evening utilizing those templates. This evening, staff is seeking input on the proposed program guidelines, which are included for your review. The proposed locations of the murals currently include, number one is the alleyway by Zen Salon at 1422 Draper Street. Abby, can you just scroll through the photos through the... Oh, sorry. This one. The back portion of the West America Bank on Marion Street at 1466 Marion Street, the north side of the building at 1543 Marion Street, back of the Kingsburg Public Library facing the public parking lot at 1363 Draper Street, the Marion side of the Chicago Title Building located at 1398 Draper Street on the corner of Draper and Marion Streets, and the back of the Apotec mixed-use building in the converted alley between Apotec and Fugazi's restaurant. In addition, the program requires funding that is not currently budgeted. Council could choose to solicit for the request for proposals and then make formal action based upon recommendations of the selection panel made up of property owners and the Economic Development Committee. Alternatively, Council could allocate funding for the program with a not-to-exceed amount. Staff suggests that funding could come either from general fund reserves or a portion of American Rescue Plan Act funds. So this evening, we are either seeking input or would ask for the approval of the call for mural program and guidelines, and then direction with regards to the budget. That concludes my report. I'm happy to answer any questions, and I know Councilmember Roman would be happy to provide additional details.
Thank you, Alex. Council discussion?
A couple other things. I also met with the bid to discuss this, to see if they were supportive of this, and the bid was also very supportive of this idea. And also, Fresno County Rural Transit Authority is also going to be giving us $1,500 to for our 3 bus shelters in the downtown area. That's 3 other areas that they would also be willing to give us money toward as well, to put some pictures in the back of those as well. So those are 2 other things I just wanted to mention.
What is a total? What is the total cost for this, or is that what we're trying to determine?
Yeah. So, sorry. So the difficult part is that we've suggested somewhere between $5,000 and $10,000 per mural, but until we go out for proposal and get some of that information back from the artists in terms of how large the murals will be and what their costs are, it's difficult for staff to determine what that total amount would be. Which is why one of the options would be to put out a call for proposals, see what those results are, and then take action at that time, if so desired.
So do we want to wait on determining the amount or do a predetermined budget? I know this is it's very trendy in many cities and it brings people downtown, so I think it's good for business. It's good for just bringing people here.
I really like the idea. I guess it's just funding is my only real question, because I think all 6 of those are great places. Is this something that we could partner with the bid on to pay for some of this, or would they be willing to do that? Has that conversation come up?
I did talk to them about that. No, they don't have the funds for that. But I think there's some other ways we could do. We could look at our TOT and some other things as well. Microphone there. Sorry. I think because they're mini murals and they're not the large murals that we were accustomed to in the downtown area, we're looking at a smaller. I think the reason why each mural would cost a different amount because we're looking at, social media size murals, so they would be smaller, much smaller than what we're accustomed to in our downtown area. Depending on the location, they would all be a different size depending on where we're going to where they're going to go. And once we get people to submit their ideas, that would also determine how much they were going to cost, depending on how much people. Once we get the submittal back to us, I think we'll also determine how much they're going to cost as well. But they're not going to be the full size mural. They're going to be much smaller, social media size murals as well.
These 6 locations, have you guys talked about how many we want to put up? Is it all 6? 4 spots? Because
start with
the more
whatever
locations,
we
the more
want.
money.
Start wherever we want.
So, I just want to make sure I'm understanding this right. We're showing support for this to proceed, and then each individual mural will come to us for approval and budgetary at that point? Or what direction are you looking for exactly?
Well, so I guess a couple things. So first, just making sure that we're comfortable with the guidelines as presented this evening, and then 2 options on funding. So you could say, you're comfortable with a set amount, a not to exceed amount for the total program, or alternatively, we could put out a call for proposals on the murals, and then see what comes back in terms of responses, which could be for all 6 locations or a handful of locations. It's just hard to know that, and then see what they're estimating, because part of the guidelines require that they provide a budget as part of that, and then so then council could review them at that point and approve the budget at that time if that's your desire.
Are you comfortable with me asking for public comment before we continue to discuss? Yeah. Okay. Is there any public comment on this item? State your name and if you're a resident of Kingsburg.
I am David Silva. I am a resident of Kingsburg, District 1. So I think it's a great idea, and there's a lot of other cities that do this. My one concern would be is with these murals, the maintenance. So I know that we live in a great community, but there is maintenance items that are related to those, whether it's graffiti or whether it's fading over time. So I would just be cautiously optimistic, I guess, and say, okay, it's one thing to get the murals there and all 6 of them, which is great, but then what's it going to cost for the maintenance long term? Are we going to be paying out of the budget 6 years from now when it's faded and we have to redo them because now they look older? And so I would just, for what it's worth, that's my only concern or comment.
Well, my goal, I hope, is because if you go to other cities, like you said, they're really popular in other cities, is when I talk to the business owners, building owners, if there's some that are very popular, like, obviously our big murals are very popular, and we obviously don't want to paint over any of those. But the ones that, I like them not to be stagnant. I hope that we can paint over them over time. If there's some that we want to refresh and keep them going, because we want to keep bringing people into the downtown area. So I think that's something that they need to understand, that they could be painted over at some time. But if a building owner wants to keep it and would like to keep it there for a long-term period, that's something that we could discuss with that owner. Because that was something I had talked with one of the building owners. They said, what if I want to keep it there forever? I said, well, then that's something we would discuss for a long-term plan, just kind of like what we have on our different buildings right now. So obviously, we'd look at what we need to do to keep it going. These are we're talking very small. For Instagram, what we have now is an entire wall. These are going to be very, very small. So the upkeep on these will be very minimal compared to what we have right now. But I think once we look at social media, because everything will be a hashtag with City of Kingsburg and everything, we'll know which ones are popular and which ones aren't getting as much of the pictures. And again, these all have to be, I want to emphasize that these all have to tie in with the City of Kingsburg, whether it's, a Swedish motif or the Kingsburg or agriculture in some way. And I think that's the part that's going to be really neat to see what people submit. And then once we get all those submitted, we'll bring them back here for final approval and then work with the building owners to make sure which each spot would be perfect for each of these that we come up with. So in other words, nobody can submit a Scooby-Doo picture and say that's what we want up on a wall. So that definitely has to tie in with the City of Kingsburg in some way. I know, darn it, right?
I think that this is a great idea for our downtown and the direction that, we're constantly moving forward with building our downtown and bringing visitors, not just residents. Our residents are going to love taking pictures, but other people that might wander off the freeway because they saw this on Instagram. I think that, in my opinion, I think it would be good to put some startup money in funding this program so that we really get it started. We've been talking about it for a while. I know that paying attention to a lot of what Jewel has let us know about the bid, and I've watched several of the meetings, I know that their funds right now as they've been getting started are more towards pictures and websites and social media, all of those things. But you said they're in support, so maybe then future money we could ask the bid or we could ask other people. I'm pretty sure their budget's already spoken for this year, but in the future, then we can have other partners. We can then look for grants. There's grants all the time through Fresno County for the arts especially. But I would like to see this really get started and get started quickly because you've been working on it for a long time. And we've been very conservative on our American Rescue Plan money. I don't know if that's something that we want to talk about maybe. It's going to help bring business downtown. Those are my immediate thoughts.
Well, we can definitely look at the Fresno Arts Council. That's where I got money for the one over here, the mural over here. I reached out to them. That's something they said they would be interested in. So that's one spot. I know there may be money in some other areas that even with Caltrans, but I think to get us, like you said, get us at least up and going if we would need for upkeep and other things. The bid might even help us with upkeep once we get them up and going, and maybe even some of the building owners might want to even help with that. But at least get us up and going. And part of the reason why there's an expense to get us started is we want to use the right materials, because the right materials will make it last a long time. We're not just talking some paint that you just get, over at Home Depot. We're talking some really quality paint that is the type that will be the long-lasting, the weather that will outlast the weather and things like that are directly for murals, and then will be shellacked and that could have a clear coat on it that will outlast that, and God forbid that some graffiti comes on or anything, we can wipe it down as well. So we want to make sure that we invest originally in the right types of paint, that we can make sure that we can take really good care of it, and it will be here as long as we want it to be there, each of these types of murals as well.
What are your thoughts?
Yeah, my thoughts are it's a great program. There's 6 proposed sites. I mean, we could start with, let's just say 5,000 to get started per site, 30,000 or something, and go from there. And then, like you said, we can get grants later or have, business will probably like it and want to help fund it, or, once it gets, but we got to get it going. So Definitely, we should fund it tonight.
This my question would be for Councilmember Roman. Really, I mean, she's been running this project and putting a lot of work into it. I think I'm gonna just kind of ask you, like, how much money do you think council should give towards this?
I would say a max up to 30,000. I don't think it'll cost more than $5 because of the paint. And I do believe that whether we work with high school students or local artists or artists in Fresno County, I do believe, I'd like to pay for their time for putting something up, but I definitely don't think each spot will be more than $5,000. So that's why I think a max for each spot, but I definitely don't think it would go over that.
So how much would you like to see budgeted?
I think a max of 5,000 per spot.
So 30,000.
30,000, yeah. So up to that. And then again, we have an additional $1,500 for each of our bus shelters as well from FCRTA. So that's 3 more spots that we got for that too.
I really feel like a lot of this falls under the bids wheelhouse. I know they may not have the money this year. I just don't love using all city funds for this when these downtown is going to benefit from this, and they're already paying additional money that's going towards bid. I would really like to see bid jump in on this and be a partner, even if they can't afford it this year. If we're going to allocate money, I would like bid to start to work on. They're responsible for maintenance. They're responsible for other things, just because this is very much in their wheelhouse financially for things.
And if we get it going, they can help
Yeah.
with upkeep or
Yeah.
something.
I would say I'd be comfortable with the $30,000, but I don't know that I would be comfortable spending money after that. I think it should kind of fall onto bid after that.
And there might be even more spots that we want. I know we want to. I've talked to some other building owners about it as well that want to come on board. And once we get this up and going, I know there'll probably be some more that'll want to get up and going. So maybe that's where we say to the bid, we have more building owners that want to come on board, and they can come and present to the bid to say, can we get money for that? Maybe that's where we start here, and then they could come to the bid.
Are you thinking from American Rescue Plan money?
No.
No? Okay.
Just for me, I don't want to try to manipulate that money just yet. I would rather just, if I believe we can pull it from general funds. So I would like to use those monies for just from the financing standpoint. I mean, I'll leave it up to staff to ultimately determine that, but I think we have enough money with that, and we don't have to manipulate ARPA funds yet. I think we can leave that alone for now.
Okay, do we need 2 motions?
I think if you just approve the mural, the guidelines, and then just direct staff to come back with the necessary budget amendment, and then you'll make a motion on that at a future meeting.
Okay. So do I have a motion for this recommended approval of the call for mural program and guidelines?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. And then staff, you have direction on budgeting.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank
good
you.
project.
You've been working for at least a year?
Well, actually before, and thank you also to Abby, because Abby was helping me with that as well. So it's been before COVID, right? We started on this.
Item 6.2, Development Incentive Program Updates, Eligible Zones, Staff Report and Presentation by City Manager Alexander Henderson.
Madam Mayor, members of council, the city currently utilizes several incentive programs intended to attract, retain, or improve businesses in city limits. While many of the programs are eligible citywide, including tax rebates and impact fee reductions, some of our programs were purposely crafted to target specific areas of improvement, most notably our downtown. However, during our public discussions of appropriate use of American Rescue Plan funds, council gave direction to staff to examine expanding the eligible areas outside of the central commercial zone for programs that are limited in location eligibility. This evening, we are recommending that 2 of those incentive programs, the Facade and Alley Reimbursement Program and the Forgivable Loan Program, be amended, not by budget, but in terms of eligible locations. The Facade Alley program, which was adopted in 2015, has provided matching funds for eligible businesses and property owners to improve their facades or to partner to improve public alleyways for pedestrian and business uses. The program was originally designed to encourage economic investment and revitalization to buildings within the central commercial zone. Since inception, the program has provided project funding of just shy of $225,000 for 44 projects that include facade enhancement, business signage, lighting, landscaping, and alleyway improvements. Originally, the program provided matching funding up to $5,000, but this was amended in 2019 and increased to $10,000 of matching funds per qualifying project. Given the success of the program since 2015 and the desire to continue to incentivize private investment, staff has provided an amended grant guideline for council consideration, which would expand the eligibility to all commercial zones, but maintain existing project eligibility, meaning it must be for retail, commercial, or professional buildings only. Staff believes that these improvements not only add to the aesthetic enhancement, but increases property values and the potential for commercial space to remain filled. Each of these provides a financial return on investment to the city in the form of property tax and sales tax revenues. For the current fiscal year, we do not have any applications under consideration, but have received inquiries for projects that would be eligible outside of the current central commercial zone. The development-based forgivable loan program was adopted by council in 2020 and is designed to assist property owners with gap financing alternatives that promote the long-term economic stability of the city. In essence, this fund provides matching funding up to $75,000 for life safety and other regulatory requirements that are required through new projects and tenant improvements. So most notably fire sprinklers, ADA improvements, seismic upgrades that might be necessary, specifically in the downtown corridor because several of our buildings are over 100 years old in age. Prior to 2011, California law allowed local governments to create redevelopment agencies that assisted in the economic redevelopment of these areas. However, in 2011, the California legislature passed AB 26, which eliminated RDAs throughout the state. After the elimination of RDAs, the property taxes that once went to the Kingsburg RDA were eventually placed within the countywide redevelopment property tax trust fund. The city receives an apportionment from the redevelopment property tax trust fund to fulfill our recognized obligation payments, and then remaining funds of those are considered residual redevelopment property tax funds and are distributed proportionally to the taxing entities that would have received these revenues from the former RDA areas. So in 2020, the council directed staff to create a new fund and utilize these dollars to help support the forgivable based loan program. We receive approximately $150,000 each year in residual funds. So we do not, there have been two downtown property owners that have approved applications, the former Bank of America building and the now existing and open Casaros and Roadhouse building, and the Casaros and Roadhouse building utilized it for fire sprinkler installation throughout that project. We do not have any applications for the current fiscal year, but again, we have had inquiries from existing properties outside of the central commercial zone. So staff is recommending two motions this evening, both to amend the Facade Alley reimbursement program to expand the eligible zoning districts as presented, and to amend the forgivable loan program to also expand those eligible zoning districts as presented. That concludes my report, but I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you. Council discussion?
Yeah, Alex, you said that you've had applications for these programs in the other zones, right?
We don't have any applications because they're not allowed yet, but we've had inquiries, right?
Yeah,
Yes,
inquiries,
yes,
yeah.
inquiries, yes. Specifically over by the T-Mobile area.
I'd like to apply for them. Right.
So we have some vacant properties over there that face many of the same challenges that some of our older buildings over here face with regards to how long they've been vacant and the requirement to come up to current building codes, fire sprinkler codes. So similar challenges that we face in the downtown, and think it's appropriate to expand the program to those areas as well.
Might be good.
More council discussion before I ask the public?
Okay, since I'm the old lady on here. So since the time that you've come on and we've been talking about these incentives, I mean, it really has made a difference in our downtown area. And I think expanding this only makes sense because it's been really successful in our downtown area, and I think that changing it out to the other areas would be really, really good. So I'm definitely been for it, and I've seen what it's done for the downtown area, and I think this is something that could be really good, especially for looking out to the business park and the other areas as well. I think we need to really focus in on those areas as well. So, yeah.
Any public comment on this item? Nope. Okay. Any more council discussion before we move? Okay, we have two motions. The first one is regarding the facade and alley reimbursement program to expand to the eligible zoning districts as presented.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Motion carries. Item number 2 is that staff is recommending that the city council amend the forgivable loan program to expand to eligible zoning districts as presented.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Our next item is 6.3, our fiscal year 2022 revenues, staff report, and presentation by City Manager Alexandra Henderson.
Madam Mayor, members of council, as part of our regular budget updates, I believe last time we had an updated report was in April as we were preparing our fiscal year 23 budget. And just by the nature of how we receive our revenues, it takes several months after the actual transactions occur before we actually receive the funds. So this evening, just providing the summary report on our fiscal year 21-22. I just give you of our major funds. So as we discussed previously, so we sort of break these down into our major fund revenues. There are 6 of them located there. 5 of the 6 are part of our general fund, with the one outlier being number 2, our Measure E Public Safety Fund, which obviously goes into a designated fund for public safety purposes for police and fire. So you can see there the breakdown of those percentages for our fiscal year 22 funding. So I'm going to start out with our Bradley Burns sales tax. So again, this is a 1% our normal tax. This is not our Measure E fund, where we receive a portion of every point of sale made. We do not receive the full portion for online purchases, things like Amazon. Those go to a county pool and then come back to us at a prorated amount based upon our population. So you can see they're broken down by quarter. Obviously, 2019, our fiscal year 20 and fiscal year 21 both had several months impacted by the pandemic. Positively, obviously, the fiscal year 22 numbers are up significantly over the previous year, just over 1.5 million. That's that number on the bottom right-hand corner there in the yellow. So starting to see increased returns, which is obviously a positive. And this is just a graph form to show, basically from a monthly standpoint, where those funds are received. We usually see every 3 months there will be a little bit of a jump, and part of that is just a matter of how the state returns those funds to us. So they send us funds each month, but then every 3 months or each quarter they do what's called a true up or a clean up, to where they are grabbing anything that they might have missed. So it's natural that those you'll see those spikes every 3 months. This is a breakout of the Measure E, the 1%. Again, this is you'll see this is much higher than the Bradley Burns amount, and it's because it grabs just from different pots, right? So if you go and buy a new vehicle anywhere in California, it doesn't matter. We still get that 1% back here because you're registering it in the city of Kingsburg. That's not the way that it is with the other 1% tax. So you can see on the bottom right there for fiscal year 22, another positive year, projecting our actuals received a little over $2.7 million. So again, you started to see much more. This is the benefit of having this district tax for people moving away from brick and mortar purchases, at least the more customary, Targets and those of the world, to more online purchases. We're able to capture that when they have them delivered to their house. And again, just a graph form of the monthly breakout. And then this is a cumulative report of our other major revenue sources. So for us, largest portions are property tax, motor vehicle license fees. TOT is our transient occupancy tax, which is the 12% of hotel stays that we collect. So obviously, again, 2019-2020 year and 2020-2021 impacted by the pandemic, but obviously a good return in basically from pent-up demand, which if you've tried to purchase an airline ticket or do anything like that lately, you'll see increased prices and people wanting to get out and travel again. Our permits and fees are cumulative. It's made up of several plan check fees, building permit fees. While those numbers are high, a lot of those revenues are often offset by the expenditures that we have to pay to actually plan check those. So and then do inspections. So for example, every new commercial development or single-family house that comes through here, obviously there's amounts that we have to pay in order to get those through the process and then get them inspected until they're finalized. So again, positive numbers overall, able to withstand sort of the worst of the pandemic, and happy to see some of those returns coming back higher than even pre-pandemic time. And then again, just an all revenue total for fiscal year 21-22, a breakdown of a little under 8.4 million. But again, not all those are general fund dollars. So just a quick summary. I thought it would be helpful to see that as we've been able to close out the fiscal year 22 books. But I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you, Alex. Any questions? Any questions from the public on this item? Nope. Okay. Thank you. That was informational only. Yep. On to item 6.4, Crime Statistics Report for the month of August 2022 and General Police Department Update. Crime Statistics Report prepared by Kingsburg Police Department Records Supervisor Karina Padilla, and our presentation is by Police Chief Neil Dadian. Hi, Chief.
Good evening, Mayor North, members of the council. No notable crime issues in August. Probably too hot to commit any crimes.
That was September.
However, we arrived there. I'm thankful for that. But also, in that regard, we had to pay attention to the officers and their time and exposure out in the field, all the heavy gear they wear, etc. So it was a difficult month. I'm glad it's over with, and I hope the triple digits are well behind us until we have to face that next year. Our recruiting and interview of candidates continues. Still currently have 3 vacancies. I do have one officer contemplating leaving and probably will leave to go to work for California Department of Justice. He's in the background process right now. No word on the Prop 56 grant that we applied for, but I am told that in October we should have some final word on that. So hopeful on that. Last time I was with you, I let you know that we were going to be sending some people to the Women's Leadership in Law Enforcement conference in Anaheim, and I was able to send 3 female employees to that, and then just yesterday, we sent 3 more female employees to the, I believe it's the Central Valley Women's Leadership Conference in Fresno yesterday, and so that was very positive for them. I have 2 officers attending an officer safety and field tactics course for, it's a 40-hour course in Camp San Luis Obispo. That'll occur next week. I'm also looking at some officer wellness software and partnership. It's not just software, but it's a software is a major part of it, and a partnership with the service provider. CalChiefs has a partnership with one. I'm looking at that. There's some others out there, but again, officer wellness is something that I really pay attention to, and it has a wealth of resources. So when I do finalize something, I'll be excited to bring it to council and explain it in more detail. I'm also looking at some onboarding and performance evaluation software. So I'm sitting through web shows with vendors on that. And I was just today promoted Kevin Pendley to police lieutenant. I think you all know Kevin, and that's been a promotion a long time coming for him, and I'll be excited to present him and some other employees that have been promoted recently before council, hopefully next month. That's the end of my report. Happy to answer any questions.
Questions? That's a good work.
No question, just comment. Yeah, just, it seems like crime's still low here in Kingsburg, so.
It is.
I'm glad our citizens aren't acting up. It's not too much that I know of. I'm sure you know more about that than I do, but.
Well, some of the targeted crime that we can affect, that's mostly property crime. We have good diligence on that. There's some things that we can't, and it's unfortunate. I'll give you an example. This month, we caught a pretty involved child molest case. Right? It's horrible, but I wish there was a way to prevent that, but there's not. Another we caught, that was 2 weeks ago. Monday. Yeah, earlier this week, a couple of days ago, we caught another very involved sexual assault case. It's going to grow legs, and probably there might be other victims. I'm not sure. Again, I wish there was a way to prevent some of that. That's not domestic violence. It still seems to be the majority of our stat in the we call it assault with a deadly weapon, but it's aggravated assault is what the Uniform Crime Report reports it at. But that's the majority of what it is. It's not other people out there, beating each other necessarily. That's an occasional thing with us, but it's just mostly domestic violence, which is reported under that category. Again, all these things are social issues. I wish there was more we could do, but the things we can affect, the property crimes, the officers have been very diligent about that, and I'm proud of them for it. So thank you for your kind words.
I have a question. The Prop 57 grant, did we submit for 2 officers like the original request, or did we switch it to 1 this time?
No, just 1, and that was a judgment call. I figured we had a winner. I just wanted to stay with a winner.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
So we kind of agonized over that decision, but in the end, I made the call to go with just 1.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item number 7, council reports and staff communication. 7.1, Community Services Commission. We met, but we did not have a quorum, so we are going to have to, we're moving our meeting to next month. 7.2, Public Safety Committee.
We've not met since our last meeting.
7.3, Chamber.
We did meet. A lot of that was for the Crayfish Festival, which seemed to be pretty successful. They did a good job. A little bit of street eats conversation and some organizational stuff that they're going through, but I think they're on the right path. And we had people from the bid at the chamber meeting, which was great.
7.4, economic development.
We have not met.
7.5, finance committee.
We did meet, and I believe that was what was presented to council today.
7.6, planning commission. We have not met. 7.7, SKGSA.
Don't know. I think they. I can.
I'm just trying to remember if it was in between the last time that we met. Yeah, Councilmember Hurtado did attend it, now that you mention it. I'll get you an update on the meeting somewhere, yeah.
7.8, downtown business improvement district.
That's Jill again.
7.9, council of governments.
So on the September 12th, we had our ribbon cutting here in town with the Fresno County Rural Transit Authority at the Senior Center for our brand new bus shelter that they had paid for. And again, thank you to Daniel sitting down there and his staff for helping with that, and also to Adam for helping put that together. So we had a wonderful ribbon cutting. Moses Stites from Fresno County Rural Transit Authority came down, and we had a great turnout. They were very excited to partner with us to bring that to the senior center. So I was very happy to have that come along. I know that's been something they've been wanting for a long time. And so they came down, they had lunch down at the senior center, and they were just thrilled with where it turned out, and also with the new, what do you call it? So I know you guys moved for the irrigation and put in all the new landscaping and put everything in, and they were just thrilled at how everything turned out. And just on time after that was finished, the bus pulled up and picked up seniors, and so it couldn't have been better timing with everything. And then I got a call today asking, it was yesterday, about Measure C, putting it in the Measure C newsletter that goes out, because they were so excited about that. So I think everything was really, really well done. So thank you to staff and everybody on that, working with me on that. So thank you. So that went really well.
7.10, council member reports.
I went to the Crayfish Festival Saturday night, and it was a good turnout. A lot of people uptown. My dad entered the crayfish eating contest.
How do you do?
He was by far the oldest member by many, many years, but he didn't win. But, he enjoyed himself, and my cousin Troy, who was defending champion, had one crayfish in his bowl, and some other guy beat him out. So it was a close second. Anyway, it was a good turnout, and glad to see all the people uptown, had a good time.
I just want to say thank you again to Abby. For the week of August 29th, we had all the third graders through Lincoln come through here, and thanks again for staff for being so nice to having every single day. We had all the schools come through. We had 2 classrooms a day come through, and then not only through City Hall, then we walked them over to the fire department. So just thank you to everyone, and even Chief. Is Chief still here? At one point, Chief even came through as well. So it's just so nice to have all of our third graders be able to come through, and we were able to give them that tour and share with them all about what our City Hall does, and then get to know all of the department heads. And at one point, they had walked out, and Daniel was there, like, hey, that's Daniel. We know Daniel now, which is really cute. We put them through a mock city council meeting as well, and it's just really nice that they get to know exactly what their City Hall does, and why we're here, what they do, and especially all the city staff. So just thank you to everybody for that, and again for Abby, because I can't do it without Abby every year. I really look forward to doing that. And then I met with Matthew Tuttle from Reedley City Council, because I had posted on my my Facebook page about that, and he reached out and he said, that is really cool that you guys do that. And so I met with him, had coffee, and then we shared it with his city council, and also with Mendota City Council. So it's getting out there, all that we're doing here. So hopefully everyone sees that what we're doing, and hopefully they could replicate. Can't be as good as what we do, obviously, but I think it's really cool that hopefully other third grade classrooms can also see what their city halls do in their cities as well. So hopefully it starts a trend. What's going on? But I know you shared it also with your city clerks. It's really cool. So good job, Abby. Thank you.
I know you and Abby developed that program years ago together and impacted our kids, and now look at the ripple effect from your work.
It's a fun time.
7.11, City Manager's Report.
No report.
Item 9 is the City Council is going to adjourn out of regular calendar into closed session for conference with labor negotiators for our public service employees, our Kingsburg Police Officers Association, Kingsburg Professional Fire Association, and our non-representative employees. So we'll adjourn into closed session.